Welcome to our November 26th Outreach and Network Guild meeting. As always, I will start us off with a bit of land acknowledgement and grounding practice. So we start by centering the land, first and foremost, to remind ourselves that the land was here long before we became people, and the land will be here long after we are gone. Everything that we are made of, everything we consume, everything that we experience rises up from the land and returns back to the land, including our own bodies. And in the words of Vanessa Andriotti, which I really love, we are part of the metabolism of the planet. So we are intimately and intricately connected to all our relations to all that is, and may we seek to move toward what right relationship with all our relations in the ways that are available to us. And one of those ways is by grounding ourselves, by returning over and over again to the present moment. So I invite you to close your eyes, and you might start to notice your breath moving in and out of your body, this ever present relationship and exchange of energy with our environment. And you might start to notice the feeling of the weight of your body resting on the seat beneath you. And you might notice the pull of gravity holding you to the earth. And in a way, we aren't just on the earth, we are in the earth. All of this is the earth. And as you notice that feeling of gravity, that feeling of being pulled downwards, I invite you to let something go that you might be holding in your body, in your mind, anything that is perhaps not allowing you to be present for this gathering today. Just see if you can gently release it and let it flow down out of your body into the earth to be composted or recycled or whatever may happen to it. And sometimes an audible exhale can help to sort of embody that sense of letting go. And with that, whenever you feel ready, I invite you to wiggle your toes and your fingers and open your eyes to join us back in the circle. And a check-in question. Let's go with tried and true. What's the weather like where you are? Whether
Mm,
it's the external or internal or some combination.
hmm. Well, I'm assuming I'm the circle. So, um, how is the weather? It was sunny here this morning for the first time in I don't know how long, and it's gray again. And and looking at the forecast, we're not expecting a lot of rain, but we're expecting a lot of gray, and and I think that's my internal weather as well, is I feel like it's sort of like it's not horrible, it's just the unrelentingness of it that is starting to weigh on me. Take that as you will. So over to you.
It was also sunny here earlier, and now it's cloudy, but not in a gray way, kind of in like a wispy, can still see some blue. We have a little bit of cooler weather this week, which is nice. Internally, a little bit of choppy waters, nothing too uh, stormy, but just some turbulence. Um, yeah, that's what I'm noticing. All right, so I can share my screen to Asana. So, in terms of where we are field wise currently, um, our outreach for the 2025 cohort is ongoing. Our nomination form is open. We have some submissions. I've drafted the confirmation email to start sending out to folks who have submitted the form. Um, we also have, I've been sending out emails to members of the Stewardship Council to reconnect and see who might be interested in staying on um, for this next year. I'm still at a stalemate with the website. It's up to David to log in and kind of see how to rectify things. And I could send him a reminder email, not like a, you need to do this, but hey,
Hmm.
you have some time soon.
Yeah.
um, I'm really, really glad we got important things up on the website before that happened.
Mhm.
Um, And then in terms of the agenda today, we had designated today as doing the annual guild report, which is the seasonal review, but we're at the end of the year. Um, so I was thinking that would be good to focus on. And then I left the outreach to the 2025 cohort there in case we want to look over it, talk about kind of how things are going a little bit. Um, but yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Ben, if you have any other updates or possible topics for today.
I this works for me, and I would like to talk about the outreach for the cohort because I did do some preliminary work around developing the sample. Um, so I plunked a whole bunch of stuff in the spreadsheet, so we can also take a look at that and yeah, and talk about next steps there. But this plan works for me.
Okay, great. Um, shall we start with the annual report? See if we can just get that checked off.
Bada bing.
Um, cool. Awesome. So we'll start with our major accomplishments. Get that to go that way. Completed. I guess I'll go back to the beginning. Are these by date or they're just by section?
Um, you can change it. Actually, um, you can change your filters so that you can sort them by completion date. There.
Awesome. So it's kind of hard for me to review and take notes at the same time. Do we want to, could we split it up?
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay to take notes or do you want me to take notes?
I can take minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just looking for major, I don't even know how old these are.
You can also limit it to
Oh, March, I see.
you can limit the ones that show up for the last year. Um,
Well, the guild started in April 27th, 2023. Okay, that's really old.
mhm. Well, and as I'm looking through it, I'm mostly noticing um, we've got a lot of recurring things.
Yeah,
So newsletter, navigation sessions, um, shared work around the six conversations and what that turned into.
yeah.
I guess podcast stuff goes in here too.
And we were doing the weekly updates for a long time.
Right, right. So hang
But
on,
we
let me get to. Okay, so in terms of accomplishments, we have uh I'm in note mode, so now if you remind me what we just talked about, I
uh
forgot.
bi-weekly newsletters, six conversations in coordination with artwork, as well as the Connect the Dots Club. We did two different series. Um,
Mhm.
and then
No, did we just do two? I guess, yeah. So we did six
right,
conversations and deep adaptation.
the
Well, but we
six
also
conversation.
did we also did the first part of Connect the Dots where we
Right,
did, yeah,
in between.
yeah,
We developed the curriculum, or started
yeah.
talk about that. We developed, well, I guess this was more intra guild, but the whole 2025 cohort campaign.
Yeah.
Um, oh, the other thing I forgot this was the weekly updates that we were doing
Yeah.
for a while. The podcast.
Uh-huh.
We did orientation and
I'm taking credit for that for research and
oh,
uh
okay.
for the Research Guild.
Okay,
But
cool. Is that also the sociocracy 101 goes in there? Okay,
yeah.
great. Um, yeah, but those are the things I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go back to
And do you want to click on the driver statement? I think it actually would be worthwhile kind of reminding ourselves what we said at the beginning of the year. Is it up? I think you have to reshare.
oh,
I
I have to
can't.
reshare. Okay,
Yeah.
hold on.
Actually, you know what? I can do it over here too.
Okay.
I was waiting for you to scroll and it was actually
Oh,
my computer.
let me here. I shared. Okay. So we have members and roles, which I think this list could use an update.
Yeah,
Um,
not worried about that though.
yeah. Primary functions. This guild acts as the tentacles or mycelia that reach out from the Lifeboat Academy to find and develop new relationships, manage the connections with other lifeboats, and work on reconciliation between communities. Main responsibilities include outreach, off campus relationship management, and reconciliation between communities. Um, Long term goals. We never actually defined how many guest days on the farm.
Right.
Um, Establishing land back relationship with the Saanich and having participants in First Nations led activities. Short term goals are outreach to potential lifeboat builders, interns, mentors, investors, advertising our online offerings, allyship training.
Hmm.
And then our resources are Canva, MailChimp, Buffer, and social media accounts, our Prezi, Kumu Maps, website, memes, Miro. Is that outreach or is that research?
I think that's probably research.
That seems researchy to me.
Yeah.
We coordinate with farm food and housing for any use of the property by outside peoples. Coordinate with finance and legal to recruit investors. I've also been doing a lot of coordination with Heartwork
Yeah. Hmm.
for online events and programming.
Hmm. And just to note, Roland is connecting.
Okay, great. Coordination with research and hi, Roland. It's research and something.
Learning.
Learning um, around 2025 cohort stuff.
Stuff.
Okay.
So just to bring you up to speed, Roland, we're looking at the annual report for outreach. And we went through already, we looked at the accomplishments, which were really around the newsletter, the Connect the Dots Club in collaboration with Heartwork, developing the 2025 Lifeboat Builder cohort and outreach, weekly updates, and which we were doing at the beginning of the year, and then work on the podcast. And now we're just looking at the original driver statement and figuring out, where there are changes to happen.
And then we have the 2024 action plan. So the action plan, as I understand it, is meant to be the what for these goals, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Establishing expectations with other guilds, establishing our unique value proposition. We talked about the human library aspect and a mentor, listen and respond, giving people a space to talk about what's coming up for them around resilience. And the learning network, creative inquiry group, collective intelligence that has really been coming through with the Connect the Dots Club. Or we did do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
um, Relationality, experiential invitations to deeper engagement. And we talked about reviewing our currently available tools and doing a one-page document about that. Chores have included regular email updates, um, change that to newsletters. Via MailChimp, publishing updates to social media, um, so advertising on the events. Um, Projects, badges, apprentices. Okay, so um, do we want to add some of the projects that we did this year? Or I've kind of
I think it's kind of included in the, we'll be redoing it for, that'll be part of the charrette.
okay, okay.
So this is really just kind of intra guild notes, and we'll have to, you know, technically the guild, just in as a learning opportunity, the guild cannot change the driver statement. The
Okay.
only the stewardship council can, because that's the driver statement is sort of authorizes us to do
Oh, I
what,
see.
but taking the notes is just fine because it's going to get updated anyhow.
Okay. Okay. Any thoughts or comments or feelings about the driver's statement that we just reviewed? The circle, as I see it, is Ben, Roland, and me. Over to you, Ben.
Um, well, the one thing that stands out to me is noticing the allyship. Um, that's an interesting thing that we haven't really talked about. And it feels like you know, uh, first of all, I think we've done really good work for outreach. I think there's a lot of work that isn't necessarily getting, it's hard to quantify, but I think in terms of refining our messages, um, refining actually how the guilds are relating to each other and how we're delivering messages, and even some of the logistical stuff. I feel like we've made a lot of progress there. So it feels to me like it's on track. And uh, yeah, I think I'll pass on with that. Over to you, Roland.
I think it's been a very interesting and successful first iteration of the guild system. Over to you, Ronnie.
I agree with everything that's been said, especially thinking about 6 conversations and the 2 Connect the Dots Club series. I guess that was all Connect the Dots Club. We did a lot of ongoing group engagement and processing and questions and I think we're really walking our talk, and we have a lot to reference and to go off of for this coming year in terms of ways that we want to continue to support people. Um, I also think, oh, I'll just share that and I'll stop for now. Over to Ben.
Yeah, I don't think I have a lot to add. So over to you, Roland.
I find what's interesting is that a lot of what was done wasn't done by a guild, but rather by the overlap or the spaces between guilds. So I just, because I was thinking, oh, it's interesting. Hard work talks about connect the dots, and outreach talks about connect the dots, but that it's neither one. It's this sort of sharing of um, resources, brain power. Um, so, and I think that's another interesting success of the guild system, because no one guild can take credit for everything. Over to Ronnie.
Yeah, I really see how the guilds have functioned as organs that have their specific responsibilities that are part of the whole, and that all makes the whole thing go. And we really, I think the guilds on the farm were already working that way, but having these guilds and having these consistent meetings with people in different places has really driven the point home for me, and seeing how this all can work really well. And that's all I have. over to Ben.
All well said, and I agree, and I don't have anything to add. Roland?
Awesome. All right, moving on to lessons learned. I think we've kind of already been doing this, but I think it's worth continuing the circle to see, are there other lessons that we've learned over the past year? Over to you, Ben.
Well, actually, I think the last thing that you said, there's something about consistency, and it's something that Ali said from the beginning. Um, the and I think about, people have kind of come and gone, some people more than others, but I feel like on the whole, it just keeps having that opportunity to come back with a different question, the same folks, but a different question or a different purpose or whatever, um, seems really important. I think it's core to relationality, right? It's really thinking about how do the relationships evolve over time, and where does that happen? How does that happen? So that'll be my first one. Over to you, Roland.
Um, learning to share the load with other guilds. It's something that we talked about in some of the other guild meetings, that being able to notice and acknowledge when there's something that comes up that can be handled by another guild, or maybe best handled by another guild. It's sort of recognizing what's ours so that we can actually practice the whole weaving our strengths together kind of thinking, or rather, I think it's more the choir um, kind of the choir analogy also applies. Yeah, so being, and that's intra-guild um, communication of, we were talking about this. This is something that you might find interesting, or that seems to fall in within your purview. Here's a gift. Over to Ronnie.
Yeah, I really like these. I think also having a process to follow, just like every meeting, this is what we do. And we don't have to think about it. Um, I think that's key. And yeah, that's what I'll say. Over to you, Ben.
Yeah, I think I wanted to, I think just to add like a sub point to Roland's comment about how the guilds work together. And it's also, even when we aren't handing something over, having it, there's often that language about putting on different hats or having different lenses. And it gives us the tools to make it really easy to say, well, what are the different components of this, you know, and then who should do it. So it's the same idea, and it's even just having that language to be able to remind us. I guess it's also sort of frequent reminders. It's a form of frequent reminder to think about the different aspects of it. Over to you, Roland.
Uh, I was thinking of aim, act, reflect. That uh, the and I think the way I'm understanding anyway, the charrette, the way that the charrette is building up as a drawing from the last charrette, where we'll be looking at the guilds again, and in the same way for the way that meetings take place and the process that we have, that it's still part of the oral tradition, and aim, act, reflect, what works, what doesn't work, what do we want to try next, and the how that is proving to be a strength in developing the whole shebang. Over to Ronnie.
feel like we got a lot done this year in a way that was not taking on more than we could handle. And I think the process really supports that. I feel like things continued to get done in a way that was consistent and not urgent and but also efficient. And things like talking about outreach and social media campaigns used to really freak me out because it was like, oh, it's all this work and it's so much stuff. And it's like, we already do posts. We're going to do some different posts and talk to some different people and have conversations. And it's not, I think the relational networking piece is really what I'm getting at. Um, that when we do things relationally, it's still work, but it's fulfilling and it's more emergent, um, less trying to force things to happen. Yeah. Any other lessons learned? Over to you, Ben.
The other lesson is also, and to do that, you have to let go of timelines. And just underscoring the quote that we just published the other day about relationships develop at the speed of trust, and change happens at the speed of relationships. And so it's and that's some gentle discipline, because I think there's so much conditioning around got to go fast, got to get it done quick, got to stick to the deadline. And it's a both and, because there's some value in having deadlines and having something that kind of motivates you to move. And ultimately, it doesn't mean anything if we're leaving anybody behind. Over to you, Roland.
It really gives me a boost to know that the memes are not just useful for people out there, but are also useful for people in here. So, and I've been noticing we've been referencing them a few times, and it is a use and a value for them that I had not anticipated, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something. So over to Ronnie.
I mean, in a way, the memes are a form of journaling. They're sort of like, because they come out, they're not just, oh, these quotes about a generation are cool, but it's like they're coming out of conversations that are had in the Lifeboat Academy and principles that we hold, books we've read, people that we know. And so it's kind of journaling the inner workings of what's happening in a way. So, and I love every time I make a newsletter, I go into our social media and choose a recent one that I find particularly striking for whatever reason and get to send that out. And so that also lets me have a relationship with them more than just seeing them on my feed. So yeah, I think they're really, really useful. Any other lessons learned? Over to you, Ben.
Oh, I just had one, and it was about the memes. And I think the ideas are all here. Actually, no, I was going to say, and because you were talking about journaling, and one of the things that I'm discovering is the value of coming back to my notes and having, it's partly that oral tradition, but also the AIM Act Reflect. And we've talked about this in Heartwork, but I'm feeling it right now here, having a discipline about an annual review and looking back. It's January, February wasn't that long ago, but looking back at the driver statement for what we thought we were going to do then is like, oh, right, like a lot has changed. The things are really different, and we couldn't possibly have known what we know now then. And so anyhow, there's just that process of coming back and pausing and gathering lessons learned, and it just is really valuable, and I just want to like anchor it in. And I think that's my last one. And over to you, Roland.
Yeah, I'll pass to Ronnie. I think I'm done as also.
I'm done. I think this was, yeah, awesome. And this next question feels kind of related, or very related. How has our thinking shifted over the year about blank? We did review the driver statement. Do you want to look at the driver statement again, or do you feel like we have a sense of kind of what we worked on this year?
I'm good without looking. Roland, do you need to
Okay.
see it?
How has our thinking shifted over the past year? Over to you, then.
Well, how my thinking has shifted in the last week is uh, I just started to think about there's a sort of continuum between outreach and the role that I think research and learning can have, and heart work. And it's like there's in the Venn diagram, outreach is about uh, piquing people's curiosity and interest and pulling them into something. Research and learning, I think, is really about onboarding, kind of bringing people up to speed. And then heart work is really about, for the people who are in the, in the organism, how do we really grow and continue to deepen those relationships? And that and again, it's blurry because there's overlaps, and there's things like with the research project that kind of go more outreachy, and there's things in outreach that are also kind of heartworky, and but I kind of feel like that's how it feels like it's shaping up to me. Over to you, Roland.
Going to pass for now. Over to Ron.
I agree, and it kind of the cosmic irony thing of like the boundaries we put between the guilds are not actually boundaries. Like they're not walls, but they're extremely useful. And at the same time, we do constantly cross the boundaries, but in ways that just make sense. Versus if we didn't have defined uh, roles and domains for each of them, everything would constantly be confused, and people would be arguing potentially about what is ours and what is yours, and etc. So there's the kind of the language is a useful lie thing. I think the boundaries between them are a useful lie. Because even in making memes for outreach, there's heart work in that. There's philosophy, like they're about heart work and philosophy and reaching people in that deeper way, hopefully. So yeah, I like that, and I'm noticing how that happens all over the place. Um, that's all I'll say for now. Over to you, Ben.
Yeah, as you were talking, it made me think the boundaries are really like a different way of, it's like a handoff point. You know, it's not a wall. It's actually, this is where, outreach hands something over to heart work, or heart work hands something over to outreach. So it's these kind of trade-off points, and which makes me think of reciprocity. It's really about actually, Don Peden said something in the CJ meeting about reciprocity. The core of reciprocity, the prosody part, is process. And so when you're thinking about reciprocity, you're really thinking about what's the process of how things go back and forth. So this kind of feels like it's really talking about where are there these meeting points. Actually, maybe that's it. It's less to talk about boundaries and it's more to talk about meeting spots. Anyhow, that feels very cool. Over to you, Roland.
I think I can't really imagine or remember where I started from and how my thinking nor the group's thinking has changed. What I would like to say though is, and this is maybe anyway, I'm blurring lines between questions probably, but that um, I think we also experience the one of the virtues of the circle process, which is that we're also circle keepers. And when we were talking earlier, I think you were both talking about the relationship between guilds. It's also that um, there's been a reminder of, oh, maybe this isn't ours, maybe this is something that can go, that one of the other guilds can take on. And this, I think, it's not specifically how our thinking has shifted, but rather I think this is from our collective experience, is that without the guilds everything seems like bec gets a level of a sense of urgency, because it's just all sort of dealt with in this big soup pot. And where do you put your energy and where do you put your attention? And being able to kind of go, whoa, is this outreach, or is this the Curiosity Guild, or is this outreach, or is this heart work, or whatever, is a way of being able to say, okay, I can put this in this made up category. And I totally agree that none of it is real. These are just categories that we've made up. But so is everything else. Just we make shit up to be able to deal with things. So anyway, just throwing that in. Circle keepers, circle reminders, frequent reminders, etc., etc. Over to Ronnie.
I think something that is, I guess, particularly outreach related is um, we still do, but we used to do a lot of outreach around just trying to recruit people to things as much as possible, or at least it felt like we did more before. And we've been focusing now more on relationships and still putting things out. But at first, it was really important to me that we get as many people as possible to come to meetings and get involved. And now I'm realizing that this is an emergent, slow growing organization that's happening through relationship. And even though we don't have, many more than like 10 people consistently involved, if you look at the past year, we did so much. We had so many really interesting, useful conversations, and we got a lot done. And that is all like that. I'm looking at the foundation we have now for this next charrette versus where we were last year. And it's really different. And as people continue to get involved, I think that they will experience, oh, these people know each other. They know how to work together. They have a process for this, they have a process for that. They've done all of these interesting things. And I think that's very much been Ruth's experience. I don't want to speak for her, but I've heard her say, she came into this thing where there's so many different cool things going on. So I'm kind of saying quality. I'm learning it's quality over quantity in a sense. And that, this work isn't for everyone, but we're here and we will continue to attract people who want to be here. And I'm understanding that that's really the point. Over to Ben.
And I totally blanked. I was listening and I forgot I was usually taking notes for you. So sorry, I didn't take that down as notes. And yeah, and and I'm thinking combining what Roland said and what you said, and it's like as with guilds, so with people, that you know, the way of working in the guilds also translates into how we work with new folk. You know, it's like no one has to be everything. We, you know, as we get some refinement on how we divide things up, that percolates down, and I think it allows things to be customized in a way, but it still works. You know, it's not like trying to, I don't want to say too much about it. And I also want to, I'm a little aware of time. And so I think this is all very cool. And that's, um, yeah, I think the way of working is what's really shifting. The kind of like the assumptions that we're making about how we work is part of what's shifting. Over to you, Roland.
I think that's plenty. Over to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, I'm good there. Um, Ideas about next steps for the Outreach and Network Guild. Is this sort of like thinking about things to do in the coming year? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
over
Yeah.
to you then.
Yeah, it's priming the prompt for the charrette, sort of thinking, are there any big ideas? And you know, a lot of it is uh I think a lot of it's keep on keeping on. Um the only thing I'm gonna pull from up above is allyship seems like an interesting topic for outreach. Over to you, Roland.
Um, I would, and I think we've already started, but trying to find ways of um, talking more about um, how do you say this? Talk more from the Lifeboat Academy. We have the Medium posts, which are good. And the memes kind of hint at the way that the Lifeboat Academy thinks, and um, finding other ways of and actually just have the workshops and the circles also are good. And are there other ways that we can pull out um, the messaging of the Lifeboat Academy, the philosophy of the Lifeboat Academy? I think a lot about, and I think I was just thinking that maybe one of our challenges has been that we are very much like Bayo Kamalafe and his 10 network, or the network that he's part of that is called 10, where uh it's imagining what comes after, it is building towards that, uh and because of that, the communicating it is uh it's like um uh running a gauntlet holding onto a basset hound. You know, you try to hold a basset hound and it has so much extra skin that it just keeps slipping out of your arms, even though you think you've got a hold on it. Um, so yeah, and so yeah. Anyway, I think I've made my point. And I know that it's always like, how do we talk more? And I think we have the beginnings of ways that we can draw on and build on to be able to do that more. Over to Ronnie.
I've actually been thinking about t-shirts and stickers. But in the like bumper stickers get read. And if you're in a city, they get read by thousands of people. Um, And I know some sticker companies that are ethic as ethical as a sticker company could be, but also t-shirts could be a fun way to maybe raise a little bit of money. People can rep the Lifeboat Academy. Their friends are like, "Ooh, what's that?" Yeah, I have a lot of friends with little small businesses that make stickers for different things, and people really like them and they buy them. So, um, yeah, that's something I've been thinking about that is just a little bit more uh, in terms of the advertising side of things. Um, yeah, that's all I got. Over to you, Ben.
I think what Roland said, and yeah, and I feel like it is going to be one of those. I think it's also figuring out how we want to talk to who we want to talk to, because I think that's also part of what Ronnie was talking about in the beginning. I had the same thing. How do we reach lots of people? How do we have a message that like just hooks people and that everyone gets? And now it's less and less, like that seems less relevant, and it's more like how do we craft the messages so that we can actually tell, oh, they got it. And, that means we can jump forward with the relationship, or we can say, they don't get it. And we know, and it's like everyone's where they need to be, and that's fine. And we don't have to invest a lot of energy there. And so, yeah, but I think that's really just a restatement of kind of what Roland was saying. So over to Roland.
So we're talking a lot about the Lifeboat Academy, and one of the components of the Lifeboat Academy is the Spalding Valley Farm. And I'm wondering about outreach and that aspect of the project. And I also want to say that in the last year, I feel like we've done a really good job of being able to create the container for the Lifeboat Academy and the container for the Spalding Valley Farm, and to be able to explain and make the distinction, not just for ourselves, but when we're talking to others. I think that was a really good thing. So outreach, oh, the pharmacery, yeah, that as well. So there's the purchase of the Spalding Valley Farm. There's the get, which to my mind means getting the fellow farmers and the all of those different people. And then there's also the pharmacery, which in my mind is it implicated and also separate, because with the pharmacery, there's also the possibility of retreats and such, which is another way of being able to disseminate the Lifeboat Academy message. Yeah. So over to Ronnie.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I feel excited to think more about the farm slash the pharmacery and the messaging, and maybe an experiment could be updating the woofing profile for next summer and
Mm,
see what kind of people that attracts if they're more interested in the mindfulness and the practice and the circles as well as the hands-on, which that's all hands-on, but the
mhm.
farming parts. And I have nothing else to add. Anything else for this section? Over to you, Ben or
No,
Roland.
no, I'm good. Pass.
Okay. Um, wow, we did the annual report.
Hmm.
That's awesome. This was great. Is great. I'm gonna mark it complete. Yay. And we had talked about touching into where are we? Here. The outreach for the cohort.
Hmm.
I need to hop off in a couple minutes. So do y'all want to continue chatting and talk through some stuff, or you want to wait till next time?
I am feeling some urgency around this, and I don't think it's going to be complicated. So I think I could probably say what I need to say in a couple minutes or less.
Okay.
And actually, I'm going to share screen. Here's what I did today. Is I've gone through our CRM, and I pulled out, there were a bunch of people actually that I was just sort of thinking about anyhow. And then I went back through and I looked at our CRM, and these are all folks that are in there, and I think we want to reach out to them. And some of them are, and it's sort of in the same spirit of with the Stewardship Council. Some of them may have, they were we got some indication of interest and we haven't really heard from them again. But why not reach out and say, hey, there's this new thing, we're forming our 2025 cohort. We already have some people that are committed to it. Is this something that you're interested in doing? And I think in the same way, that we're doing it with the Stewardship Council, like have a template, but we can update it. It's been a while, realize you may not be interested. That's cool. If you are, here's the nomination form. So yeah, that's really all. And I think, we could probably add to this list. But I think it really is just a matter of, and again, maybe that's the other part is I did some work here. How can we have shake the tree and have our inner core, spend a couple minutes and think who is there on the list that you'd like to add? That's my only thing I wanted to share. So back to you, Ronnie.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea, and maybe people who feel like they have the closest relationship with certain people can think about how to reach out. And yeah, maybe we could do that this week. So get the ball rolling. Over to you, Roland.
Sounds good. And it's good, I think it's good that we also end with an action item. Because we only do meet it every 2 weeks, so this is good. Who do I pass to? I don't know where we are in the circle. Pass to whoever wants to talk next. That's just popcorn.
I think it's back to Ronnie.
Oh, I think we switched. Anyway.
Well, I don't have anything to add, and so I feel like we're time to wrap up.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Good job. Any last thoughts for the good of the cause? Over to you, Ben.
Go team. Over to you, Roland.
I'd like a sort of an action item for what we should be working on in the next couple of weeks, so that we're clear that what should happen between now and the next meeting. Please, my request. Over to Ronnie.
Well,
I can volunteer to, and yeah, I can volunteer to create what I am proposing as an action item, put it in
yeah,
Asana and share it on email.
awesome.
So
That's
I will
great.
do that.
I'm going to be continuing to send out emails to the Stewardship Council, and I'm also going to start sending out nomination confirmations to people, which there's only 4 nominations so far. And also emailing David about the website. Anything else anyone can think of that needs to happen?
I don't know if it needs to happen, but and this is probably a conversation, so I'm just going to make a note of it. But is there anything else that we can do to to continue any kind of momentum with the nomination forms and putting out the word about the nominations.
That's basically my email action item.
Okay.
So yeah.
I think sharing the nomination, the post to our stories every day so that people just see it every day, hopefully, is a good idea. And can't spell nomination. The Facebook group. I'm honestly shocked how many people join the Facebook group and just don't engage at all or seem interested. Like,
Mhm.
you were interested enough to join this group. Anyway,
Mhm.
whatever. I need to go, but thank you very much. We got a lot done, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.